Hey everybody, Wesson with Carry Concealment here to talk to you about another tool in the shop. Today we are going over the Smith & Wesson EZ family of firearms. This one being the EZ9 and then the EZ380 as well. They function the same, so for the most part I'm just going to talk about one particular gun and I'll just reference both of them. What is the EZ9 or EZ380? I'll tell you, it's a strange firearm. It is a hammer-fired gun that has an internal hammer, and it's designed specifically to help those with weaker grip strength, things like that, manipulate the slide easily. And it is very easy to actuate this slide. This particular model has an external safety. It is ambi, and then it also has a grip safety, Springfield. But yeah, this firearm is intended for those, like I said, who are challenged in grip strength. The magazine is a single stack mag that holds 8 rounds, and it has these little followers here so that as you're loading, you can kind of move the follower down to help you load the next round. I don't find that that's actually all that advantageous. In a world where something like a Maglula exists, I think this is silly. And one weird part about the followers is they do make the magazine actually quite wide. So they don't actually fit in a single stack mag carrier. You still need to get that stack and a half Glock 43X type mag carrier, despite it being so narrow in profile. So it's an 8+1 gun, which in today's standards is low on round counts, I would say. And for a firearm that's actually not that small, it's a little bit disappointing. You know, we're in a world now where 10 round guns are quite a bit smaller than this. This one here is about the same slide length as a Glock 48, and the grip length, as you can tell, like I've said in previous videos, I have larger hands and my pinky is just hanging on by this little extension on the magazine. So not a terribly short grip either. And again, for those of you who are less familiar, the grip is the hardest part of a gun to conceal. So when we're talking about small, lower round count firearms that are easier to conceal, this one is trying to be in that space, I feel like, but still has larger formats, which again makes it harder to conceal as compared to the guns that are in the same category. So why would somebody buy this thing? To be completely honest, I'm not sure that there's a great reason for this. The entire concept of, I don't have a strong enough grip to pull the slide back, I think that's an excuse. My mother is over 60 years old. She's not very familiar with firearms, and in the course of half a day at a range and some dry fire stuff, I was able to take her from her 5-shot revolver to a Glock 43X. And in the beginning, she did have a hard time getting the slide all the way back to put a round into battery. But by the end of the day, she could do it no problem. Slide manipulations, lock back, check for clearance, all that stuff. So she had no issues. I think it's just a training scar. There are right and wrong ways. There are ways to leverage the slide to give you a better chance of locking that thing all the way to the rear. I think the whole concept here of making this easy to manipulate, given the weird followers on the magazine, it's a selling feature for a certain crowd. I don't think it's actually all that advantageous. And let me get to the back end of this. This firearm is actually not that great to shoot. This trigger cannot be activated unless the grip safety is depressed. And if you have a high thumbs up kind of modern grip, you may find that you don't get that grip safety all the way actuated. I actually have the same problem on my Staccato, which is why I have a giant rubber band around it. If I was less lazy, I would put a pin through there and just eliminate it altogether. Personally, a firearm that has a hammer does need a safety, but we've got a manual safety right here. I'm not sure why the grip safety is necessary. But again, the same crowd that's gonna like the easy to manipulate thing is probably also going to like all the safeties, regardless of if they are actually a benefit or not, I think. So as far as the rest of the gun goes, when you do get that grip safety depressed, there is a short take up to a fairly defined wall, and then as we depress this trigger, pretty clean break, probably right around 7 or 8 pounds. And then the reset is not audible. It's very soft, but it does get right back to the wall. So if you're shooting properly and you're ignoring reset and you're getting right back on that wall every time, it actually is a halfway decent trigger. It is a fairly small trigger guard, so a gloved hand may have problems here, but altogether it shoots okay. I've probably got about 100 rounds through this gun is all, because I honestly could care less to do much more than that. Basically anytime I take new shooters, or especially female shooters, out to try to introduce them to pistols, I do bring this, and originally most of them gravitate towards this gun. After they shoot it, then they move to something else. So it is a good gun for the person that can't be convinced that they can learn other things, I guess, and it just fits them right where they are right now, and they don't need the additional training or anything like that. I will say this has not been the most reliable firearm I have by any stretch. It has choked on lots of rounds, especially with the newer shooter who's got a weaker grip. If this gun is able to recoil excessively because of a weak grip, this slide just will not function reliably, and you can end up having some stovepiping and stuff like that. So not a huge fan of that. This other one, the EZ380, way worse. Functionally, this one's the same, albeit it does not have a thumb safety, interestingly enough, just the grip safety, so it does need that since it's a hammer gun. Even easier to manipulate the slide. All the other controls are the same, the magazine is the same, still an 8-round gun in 380. Marginally smaller than the EZ9, substantially lighter though, I will say. But as far as the world of 380s go, this is still a fairly large gun. I think the new Beretta 80X is going to be similar to this, a little wider in the grip and holds a lot more ammo. So if you're into a 380 that's this large, I think that new 80X might be worth looking at. I'm excited to get my hands on one personally. But regardless, this 380 choked and choked and choked. I brought out MagTech and, oh, who was the other one? I don't remember the other 380, but I brought two kinds of just target load 380 out, and oh man, choke city. Even myself, I am not a fantastic shooter, but I am an experienced shooter, and I have a fairly strong grip, and this thing, even just locked out as hard as I could, would still malfunction at least once or twice during a magazine. The gun was lubed. I don't know if it needs plus P380 rounds to function properly. It's a sample size of 1, so you know there could be some other folks who are saying, oh, mine runs perfect, it's no big deal. But especially in the hands of somebody with less recoil control, it was almost every single round was having problems. So there's something going on with this concept of super easy slide manipulations. Maybe it's a combination of the grip safety coming on and off during recoil, I'm not sure. But these guns, the EZ9 and the EZ380, I appreciate Smith's effort in trying to make guns specifically for people with weaker strength, but I just think this is a crutch that doesn't need to exist, especially since other guns can be quite a bit more effective for a similar footprint size with way more ammo, and you know, as long as there's decent slide serrations, just about anybody can actuate a subcompact gun. So these are a big whiff for me. I do support them obviously with holsters. They're in the shop. I'm not opposed to supporting guns I don't like. That's a big thing I've had to learn, especially with the XD lineup. I am not a Springfield guy by any stretch, but just because somebody has a gun that I don't like doesn't mean I shouldn't give them a nice safe holster for that firearm. So this and the EZ9, it's a big no for me, but you didn't ask me for my opinion. I'm giving it to you because I want to, and I think this kind of information may help somebody. But if you're looking for a gun in this size, I'd probably sniff around for something else, something a little more effective, something that can hold more ammo especially, and something with a better reliability track record. So hope this was helpful for somebody, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.